in our debut session, in our first session, we beautifully understood what are the popular myths and misconceptions surrounding the Gita. Yeah, some say, why is the Gita important to me? What's in it for me? Whenever you approach something or any new activity, or maybe even reading a book, the first question is, what's in it for me? Isse mera kya fayda hoga? And Prabhuji really, at length, he described what is in the Bhagavad Gita for everyone. You may be from any financial background, any ethnic background, racial background. You may come from anywhere. You may be anybody, but there is something in the Gita for everyone. And our today's theme for discussion is to approach the Gita, as in how to read the Gita. Yeah. After discussing the popular myths and misconceptions that may surround around why and what is the relevance of Bhagavad Gita in today's world, today we move on to our second topic of discussion named how to read the Gita. अभी अगर मुझे इंग्लिश आती है and किसी ने मुझे क्वांटम फिजिक्स की बुक पकड़ा दी, Prabhu, what do you think? Will I be able to do justice? I may even end up forgetting English. So there needs to be a technique कि how to read. अगर किसी किताब को पढ़ना है तो उसको कैसे पढ़ना है? And I'm very hopeful that we'll have a fruitful discussion around this in today's session. And Prabhu, my first question to you. मैंने एक बहुत पॉपुलर अभिनेता को सुना था एक बार कि he was to dedicate 3 years of his life solely to understanding or learning Sanskrit to read the Gita. मतलब मुझे गीता समझनी है, I want to understand it, learn it in its original sense. तो मैं संस्कृत ट्यूटर को हायर करता हूँ. So, is it necessary to know Sanskrit, to learn Sanskrit in order to read or understand the Gita?
Okay, thank you, Jai Kishan, for creating a very good introduction, a background for our discussion today about how to read the Gita. And you started off by saying that अगर मुझे English आता है तो क्या मैं quantum physics समझ सकता हूँ? तो आप शायद English और quantum physics दोनों भूल जाएंगे. So it takes some qualifications to understand quantum physics. You need some training, right? So similarly, to understand Gita, you need some qualifications, some training, and that around this central theme, our discussion will be kind of pivoting. So as far as learning Sanskrit to understand the Gita, so it's a very interesting question. Sanskrit is definitely a very holy language. Sanskrit यानी संतों द्वारा सृजन की हुई भाषा, संतों की जो कृति है वो है संस्कृत, and it's a language of the gods, it is said, and it's very scientifically designed. In fact, in order to, actually the NASA, they say, they came up with this research that if you want to code the computers, the most effective language is Sanskrit, because Sanskrit is not haphazardly designed. Sanskrit is a phonetic language. Basically, it maps every sound that a human being can produce. It maps all the range of sounds which a human being can produce, and it systematically makes a framework out of that, and based on that framework of alphabets, so a, e, u, a, I, o. So ta, tha, da, dha, na. So when you speak of ta, tha, da, dha, na, so sequentially the sound starts from the throat and ends up at the lips. So it maps all the probability of all the sounds which can be produced and gives each sound that you produce as an alphabet, right? So it is mapped based on the phonetic sounds that a human voice box can produce, and that becomes the superset based on which this language is. I guess you all can understand, right? Jaikishan, makes sense?
Yes,
Well,
Prabhu.
hmm?
I mean, Sanskrit, though, I've heard somewhere, I don't know how true this is, but just to learn the grammar, that is Panini, you need 14 years to master just the grammar, which just kind of puts into perspective how difficult Sanskrit language is. And अगर मुझे 14 साल खाली ग्रामर सीखने में लगेंगे, तो I don't know, भगवत गीता तो
Okay, so yes, definitely it's not that difficult, but it's sophisticated,
okay.
right? There are many levels to understanding and learning Sanskrit. So I would definitely encourage anyone who wants to learn Sanskrit to do so, but I'll not keep that as a barrier or as a prerequisite to understanding the Gita. So as I know, and as everyone knows, that Jai Kishan, you are a CA, right? So आपने chartered accountancy की जो books थी, so which are some of the most popular books or the toughest books that you read across?
Oh, you mean the subject?
भूल गए क्या नाम, मतलब authors के नाम भी भूल गए अभी?
Honestly, authors के नाम तो yes, Prabhu. I have to tell you, I did forget the author's name. Let me recollect. So there is someone by the name Bansal. Rajasthan is very famous for CA. So there was a professor named Bansal. Yeah,
Okay.
Bansal for audit.
Okay. So for auditing, Bansal, and then I also saw Vijay Kumar for accounting.
Yes.
तो ऐसा काफी सारा बुक्स है. तो वो बुक्स कौन सी लैंग्वेज में लिखा होता था?
English.
English, right? So now you wanted to come out with flying colors in the CA exam. So now, because your books were in English, did you go out for a 12-year course to learn English most perfectly?
No.
No. So you started with learning accounting with whatever knowledge of English you had, because English just happens to be a medium for you to understand accounting, but the main thing is accounting, right?
Right.
It's not the language. So similarly, as I can get the knowledge of accounting in English or in Gujarati, right? There are Gujarati baniya who know accounting much better, right? But they have learned all accounting in Gujarati. And similarly, a Spanish gentleman has learned accounting in Spain, but he knows accounting as good as someone who has read it in English or Gujarati or French, right? So here, the language just happens to be a medium to convey the message of accounting, to convey the knowledge of accounting, right? So similarly, Sanskrit happens to be the original medium for transmission of Gita, of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. But it's not the only medium for transmission of Bhagavad Gita. It definitely is the best medium for transmission of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, but that is not a prerequisite. In any language, you could learn the Bhagavad Gita. और जैसे वो है ना कि मैं 3 साल संस्कृत पढ़ूंगा फिर गीता सीखूंगा. So I'll give you a caution here. A good, someone who knows good English doesn't mean he's a good accountant. Similarly, a Sanskrit scholar is not equivalent to a Gita scholar, right? Okay. You may be the greatest English scholar, but you may be nuts in accounts. You may go bonkers in mathematics, right? You may have the best of English knowledge. वो सारी किताबें accounting की mathematics की English में लिखी हैं, but you may have no clue of what mathematics and accounting is. Similarly, you may know the best of Sanskrit. You may be able to, memorize all the Panini sutras, right, which are thousands in number. But still, you may get 0 out of 100 in a Gita exam, So that's quite possible because, as we discussed, it's the language. And if you want to learn any language to understand Gita, that is a language of devotion. Just as to understand accounting, more than the language of English, you need the language of mathematics. नंबर की लैंग्वेज, जब आपको नंबर समझ में आने लगते हैं, जब नंबर आपसे बात करते हैं, right? When you start speaking numbers, when you start speaking two numbers, that's when you become expert at mathematics and accounting. So similarly with Gita, when you develop devotion, then you can understand the message of Bhagavad Gita, because Gita is written for the purpose of developing devotion. So Gita speaks the language of love and devotion. So it is not Sanskrit. So many times we feel अगर मुझे संस्कृत समझ में आएगा तो मैं गीता क्रैक कर लूंगा, तो ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है. आपको गीता क्रैक करने के लिए जो पासवर्ड चाहिए ना, that password is not language of Sanskrit, that password is bhakti or devotion. And that's why Krishna says to Arjuna several places that why is he the right candidate for understanding Gita. He says, idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyami anasuyave. So he tells to Arjuna in the 9th chapter, Arjuna, I am revealing this most confidential knowledge unto you because of the reason that you are anasuya, because you are non-envious. You don't have envy towards the Lord. You don't have an impurity of envy in your heart. So that's a qualification. Then Krishna says in the 4th chapter of Gita, Bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasya hi etad uttama. So Gita is an open secret. It's the rahasya, but it's an open secret. Everyone can read the Gita, but only someone who has a password of devotion can open the file of Bhagavad Gita and really download the meanings of the Bhagavad Gita. So yes, definitely Sanskrit is the most glorious language, most scientific language, but in order to understand the Gita, it's not a prerequisite. Bhagavad Gita, if we really want to learn any language to understand Gita, it's the language of devotion. A great English scholar doesn't mean that he is a great accountant, and similarly a great Sanskrit Pandit doesn't mean that he's a great Gita scholar or a devotee. Because I have come across people in universities who are great Sanskrit Pandits who are reading the Gita with a beer in their hand, and they are saying that, oh, I have come across a new meaning of Gita. So that's where it leads to.
The password of devotion and non-envious. These are the two qualifications that Prabhu you mentioned, and in one of our prayers, the Guru Arti sung every morning. It's very beautifully said. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito, where true knowledge, the connection with true knowledge is from the heart and not from the head. And how beautifully you put it up, Prabhu, that the password of devotion, Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti, which is one prerequisite to understanding the Gita and not being a Sanskrit scholar. Chat GPT, इसके बारे में प्रभु, the GPT, वो जो abbreviation आपने दिया था, it still stuck with me. God personally talks. I don't know if you've already begun filing the trademark for this, but when you say Chat GPT, Prabhu, I'll charge you fees, huh? Don't mind that.
Okay.
Chat GPT, so अर्जुन को भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने पर्सनली भगवत गीता का ज्ञान सुनाया था. There was a beautiful conversation between the two, and that was how knowledge was transmitted. So do I need, अभी अर्जुन को भगवान कृष्ण ने सुनाया था, but do I need a teacher or to approach the Gita? Do I need a guru, or can I approach it on my own? How important is the role of a guru, or is it even required for me to understand the Gita?
Okay, so if I understand the space from which you are coming, or the question is coming, is that भाई अर्जुन को तो डायरेक्टली कृष्णा ने 1-on-1 गीता लेसन्स दिए ना, राइट? सो व्हाई डू आई नीड समवन एल्स टू कम बिटवीन मी एंड कृष्णा? मतलब आमने सामने हमारी बात होने दो, राइट? तो व्हाई डू आई नीड टू हैव अ गॉडमैन और अ डिवोटी और अ गुरु in between? Yes, you don't need anyone. You can directly read the Gita. Yes, definitely. You should go ahead and directly read the Gita. But then, when you are reading the Gita, you should be willing and open to apply what the Gita says. And then, what Krishna says in the Gita, evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakalene hamahata yoga nashta parantapa. That, oh Arjuna, by the way, this knowledge which I am sharing with you, the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, do you know the method by which it is transmitted? Krishna says this knowledge is transmitted from a guru to a disciple in a chain of disciplic succession of people, of transcendentalists who have realized spiritual knowledge, who have realized God. So from a realized, self-realized guru, that knowledge is passed on to a sincere, submissive disciple. So yes, you can go ahead and access the knowledge of Gita. The Gita is now available thanks to Srila Prabhupada in all the languages of the world, right? From we discussed about Sanskrit, but now Gita, thanks to Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, it is now available in French, German, Russian, all the languages: Latin, Hebrew, Arabic, Urdu, Telugu, Tamil, Bengali, Udiya, in all the languages it is available. So yes, go ahead and have a direct one-to-one chat GPT, chat with God. But then when God in the conversation tells you that, look, if you really want to take advantage of this knowledge, I'm going to tell you the secret. Approach a self-realized devotee. Then you should not back out at that point of time. nahi, main apne man ki karunga, right? If you are really willing to hear Krishna when he is talking to you, then you also should be willing to apply what Krishna is telling. And Krishna tells to Arjuna that how do you gain transcendental knowledge? Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnana jnaninas tattvadarshina. That you should first of all, with humility, approach a self-realized person. Approach a person who is tattvadarshi. Tattvadarshi means who is not just speculating about the truth, who has seen the truth, who has experienced the truth, right? And approach him not with pride, approach him not with arrogance, but with humility, right? And then do what? Not give him advice, but take his advice. Pariprashna, ask questions. And then sevaya, which means apply those instructions, apply the knowledge which is being given. So yes, definitely there's no barrier in between us and Krishna in terms of the knowledge of the Gita. But then when Krishna tells us that we should actually approach self-realized devotees in our quest of the knowledge of the Gita, in our quest of self-realization, then we should also do that. Because Krishna is such a person. Krishna means generally people in this world are very insecure. There's a lot of insecurity in the hearts of people. अगर आप किसी कंपनी के कस्टमर हैं, क्लाइंट हैं, right, and then you start buying from some other company, right, that company becomes insecure. अरे मेरा कस्टमर जा रहा है, then they will give some free or some bonus, etc., to keep you in their fold, right? Or there's so much insecurity. But Krishna is not an insecure person कि नहीं किसी और के पास चला गया, मेरे डिवोटी के पास चले गया तो शायद मेरे ऊपर इतना डिवोशन नहीं रहेगा उसका. No, Krishna is not insecure. Krishna actually wants us to come to him through his devotees, because he values his devotees. He values all the transcendentalists who have given their life for understanding this message. राइट. एंड जैसे मैं एक अपना एग्जांपल देता हूँ, हमारा आईआईटी में एक सब्जेक्ट होता था मार्को चेन. Just practical, मतलब forget all the philosophy which I said. Just if you can remember this small thing which I'm sharing. We had a very tough subject called Markov chain, which is about probabilistic probability का ये है. मैं डिटेल में जाऊंगा तो सबके ऊपर से जाएगा, right? So it is about probability. So how to a sequence of probabilistic events को कैसे आप calculate करेंगे probability, तो उसके ऊपर था. The book that we had on Markov chains, वो पूरा ऐसा लगता था ये लैटिन में लिखा है, बुक कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा था. बट देन वी हैड अ प्रोफेसर नंदलाल हेमचंद्र. तो ये मार्को रशियन मैथमेटिशियन था जिसने 1850 में 1870 में ये मार्को चेन थ्योरी निकाला था. तो हमारे पास उसका बुक था, लेकिन वो सब सर के ऊपर से जा रहा था. लेकिन जब हेमचंद्र सर आए और हमें इन अ वेरी प्रैक्टिकल लैंग्वेज समझाने लगे, he gave us so many practical examples, तो वो सारा मार्को चेन का मार्को थ्योरी सब समझ में आने लगा. So he was not a barrier for us to connect to Marco and his theory, but he was a bridge for us to connect to Marco and his theory. So similarly, a self-realized devotee or a guru is not a barrier between us and Krishna, but he is a bridge. He or she is a bridge for us to connect to Krishna.
Wow.
Make sense?
Yes, completely. In fact, Prabhu, at times people approach spiritualists or someone a spiritual seeker with pride. मैंने काफी ऐसे लोगों को देखा है जो ऐसा, चल मैं इसकी क्लास लेता हूँ, let's see कितना पानी है इसमें, and they question with pride, as you very rightly mentioned, approach with humility but not with pride. And from a senior self-realized soul to a sincere disciple, that is how the message flows. And नहीं तो आपको बैरियर ही दिखेंगे आपके सामने, which is very clear. And when it comes to you even said that a very important ingredient for accepting something is hunger. You must have a hunger for something to be able to digest the knowledge or digest anything. When does this hunger come into existence? Does it come with age? तो कुछ लोग बोलते हैं you have to be a little more mature once you're done with your responsibilities. See, now when you're young, you don't know a lot of this world, तो ये सब ज्ञानबाजी में अभी मत घुसो. Once you become a little mature, you've gained some experience, you're done with your responsibilities, and you've come of age, that is the time ये गीता वीता spirituality तभी काम आती है, तभी इसमें सब में घुसना चाहिए, not now. How right do you think this is? Or how would you put this into perspective?
Okay. So so basically अभी तो बहुत responsibilities हैं, अभी बहुत busy हैं हम लोग. तो जब समय आएगा थोड़ा maturity भी आ जाएगी, जब पक जाएंगे, थक जाएंगे जीवन से, तब खोलेंगे गीता. तब तक goodbye गीता, right? We'll get back to you someday, right? तो someday ना, मैं सोचता हूँ, कई बार लोग बोलते हैं we will do it tomorrow, we will do it someday. तो मैं देखा Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. देखो कभी भी ना कैलेंडर में मैं साल के बाद साल देखा, समडे नाम का कोई डे आता ही नहीं है मंडे टू संडे के बीच में. तो जब लोग बोलते हैं मैं गीता समडे पढ़ूंगा ना, तो मुझे समझ नहीं आता वो कौन सा दिन, ऐसा कोई लीप ईयर में भी कुछ स्पेशल दिन नहीं आता जिसको समडे बोलते हैं. So when is this someday going to come? Only God knows.
30th of February maybe, bro.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, probably that is a probable date. However, आपने एक चीज बोला कि many times people say अभी बहुत सारा responsibilities है, which is no doubt very true, that there are so many responsibilities, and it is important for us to fulfill all the responsibilities that we have. But I have a small question. जब आप कोई कंपनी ज्वाइन करते हो, अर्नस्ट एंड यंग ज्वाइन करते हो, या PwC ज्वाइन करते हो, या डेलॉइट ज्वाइन करते हो, तो आपको सबसे पहले क्या दिया जाता है? आपका रोल या आपका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज?
रोल।
तो जब आपका जॉब इंटरव्यू होता है तो किस आधार पे होता है? What role are you going to play?
करेक्ट।
Right?
Correct.
Whether you will be a risk manager, right, or you will be a finance advisor. So based on the role, later your responsibilities are defined, right? So if we don't even understand our role in this world, how are we going to understand our responsibilities? So Gita, first of all, helps us understand what is our role in this world. What is the role that we have come to play in this world? What is our connection with the people around us? What is our connection with this planet? What is our connection with God? And then once we know the role, when we know the connection, a natural derivative is the responsibilities, right? That happens, right? When it is told ki, this is your student, right? Then the teacher then follows the responsibilities of being a teacher, right? But अगर स्टूडेंट का आपको ये मतलब टीचर का आपको रोल ही नहीं दिया है, then how can you arrive at responsibilities? So in essence, in summary, basically Gita helps us understand the role that we are supposed to play in this world, our connection with the people around us, connection with God. And then once we know our role, it is quite natural for us to understand our responsibilities. Otherwise, we may be playing imagined responsibilities, which may not be our responsibilities. We may be doing someone else's responsibility. And then comes conflict of interest, right? Conflicts happen. Why? Because people say, this is my responsibility, this is my area. Other person says, no, this is my area. तो इंडिया पाकिस्तान के झगड़े क्यों होते हैं? क्योंकि proper role defined नहीं है, right? So Gita helps us understand our roles clearly, and then we can understand our responsibility in this world. और एक और चीज है कि आपको if you are going somewhere, right, if you are going for an adventure trek, right, तो सबसे पहले आप क्या डिसाइड करोगे? आप मैप जो है वो आप जर्नी के शुरू में लोगे या फिर जर्नी के एंड में लोगे?
ऑफ कोर्स शुरू में.
In the beginning only, when you are going into that, maybe treasure hunt करने जा रहे हो कहीं पे, the treasure hunt, कहीं पे आपको treasure hunt करने के लिए दिया है. So if you are going there, the first thing you will ask for a map of that location, right? This is a 20-acre area and I have 2 hours. तो 2 घंटे में ये 20 एकड़ को मैं पूरा एक्सप्लोर नहीं कर सकता. I need a map of the whole area so that I go to the strategic locations. So similarly, life is short. We have only a few years in this world. So we begin our life with the map of where we are. And that map is Bhagavad Gita. And once you have the map in your hands, you can make the best use of your time in this world. So therefore, those who say कि मैं गीता बाद में पढ़ूंगा, वो ऐसा उनका लाइफ ऐसा होगा कि पूरा घूम लिए, उसके बाद में पूछ रहे हैं मैप कहाँ है, right?
How unfortunate. And when you give the example of joining a company without a role, I can just imagine a situation where 100 people are employed in a company and you're pushed into the company saying you have to work for such and such company. That's it. When there's no clear identity about your role, there's utter confusion. There is no talk of responsibility here when your role is not clear. So that's a very interesting way to put up things, Prabhu. But one more confusion surrounding a very popular Indian thing. ये इंडिया में ही पाया जाता है. ये कई लोग बोलते हैं मैं नहा के नहीं आया हूँ तो मैं गीता को हाथ नहीं लगा सकता. मैंने आज नॉनवेज खाया है तो मैं गीता को हाथ नहीं लगा सकता. मैं पढ़ नहीं सकता. I'm sorry. मैं थोड़ा आज अभी पार्टी से आया हूँ, थोड़ा शराब का सेवन किया है, तो आई कांट मे बी टच द गीता, मुझे पाप लग जाएगा। क्या ये सच है प्रभु? How true is this thing? Or should people be so afraid of touching the Gita rather than जो पाप किए वो उसका डर नहीं है ज्यादा, but maybe touching the Gita?
Okay. So sometimes it could be just excuse. They really don't want to take the Gita or read the Gita. So ये थोड़ा अच्छा pious excuse हो सकता है. But you see, sometimes in clinical psychology, someone who goes into depression, they block themselves from all sides, from any help which can come their way. Right? Someone who is in depression, if you ask a psychologist, they will block all the help which can come their way. And anyone who gives a hand to them, they will start creating imaginations कि नहीं he or she has some ulterior motives, or I won't take his or her help, और मेरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता है, मुझे कोई हेल्प नहीं कर सकता, आई एम बियॉन्ड हेल्प, मैं इतना फॉलन हूँ, मैं इतना गया गुजरा हूँ कि I am beyond help. So when someone is in mental depression, there's a tendency to block any help, to create barriers, self-created barriers for anyone to help us. So similarly, the same applies for spiritual depression. The same psychology comes into play. When I am spiritually fallen, when I am spiritually in a low state, many times our mind tells तेरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता, तुझे कोई मदद नहीं कर सकता. हम अपने बैरियर्स खुद ही बनाने लगते हैं. Like someone is coming and giving a hand कि चलो बाहर आओ, डूब रहे हो, निकलो, लेकिन हम खुद ही बैरियर बना लेते, नहीं नहीं मैं नहीं निकल सकता, मैं हाथ ही नहीं दे सकता, नहीं तो वो डूब जाएगा. अगर मैं हाथ दूंगा तो ये व्यक्ति डूब जाएगा, इससे अच्छा मैं ही डूब जाऊं. तो मैं डूब रहा हूं, अगर मैं गीता को हाथ दूंगा तो गीता भी डूब जाएगी. Right? So we can see that it's very superficial, very flimsy. Right? So there is no truth to that. जैसे अगर कोई व्यक्ति बोले कि मैं नहाया नहीं हूँ, तो अगर मैं पानी को टच करूंगा तो पानी गंदा हो जाएगा, तो मैं नहाता ही नहीं हूँ. तो वो अच्छा एक्सक्यूज होता है, भैया तू मत नहा, लेकिन तू don't give this excuse. Right? So basically, if it is an excuse that's there, but if someone is genuinely thinking कि भाई मैं respect करता हूँ गीता को, मैं respect करता हूँ हमारे शास्त्र को, तो मैं अगर नॉनवेज खाया है, मैंने अगर ये कुछ बुरा काम किया है, तो मैं गीता को टच ना करूँ तो अच्छा है. So I would really appreciate their spirit of giving respect to the Bhagavad Gita. I would really appreciate their spirit of respecting the Shastras. But I'll request them to go one step higher. बच्चे अगर माता पिता के पैर छूते हैं, so they are respecting their parents, right? Yes or no?
Yep.
Yeah, आप छूते हैं, Jai Kishan?
Yes.
Okay. So you are respecting your parents if you touch their feet. But अगर मुझे श्रुति माता जी, आपके मदर, बोले कि एक बात नहीं सुनता है, बस सुबह आके बस मतलब एक फॉर्मेलिटी के लिए पैर छू लेगा, एक बात नहीं सुनता है, जो बोलो उसका उल्टा ही करता है, राइट? तो व्हाट इज देयर एंड फीलिंग? कि ही इज डिसरिस्पेक्टफुल. So you are externally giving respect, but overall you are not obeying the mood or the instruction which they are giving. The same applies to Bhagavad Gita. So someone is saying कि नहीं मैं नहाया नहीं, मैंने कुछ ये खाया, गलत काम किया, तो मैं गीता को टच नहीं करूँ. So yes, that is one level of respect, but then you are not approaching the Gita, you are not hearing the Gita. That is like that child who is touching the feet but not listening to the parents. So the best is, of course, to touch the feet and also listen to the parents. So the best is take bath, follow what the Gita says, and take time out to hear the Bhagavad Gita, read the Gita, every day for some time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, right? But कम से कम ऐसा मत करो कि गीता को टच नहीं करो, or saying that because I respect the Gita. So I guess it kind of creates more confusions.
So the highlight here is respect the Gita in its true sense. Yes, there is a lot of appreciation for those who think that हाँ चलो मैंने कुछ बुरा काम किया है, मैं नहाया नहीं हूँ, so I don't touch the Gita. But at the same time, as you said, go one step higher and respect it in its true sense. That is, you read the Gita. Yeah.
Yes.
And at this stage, Prabhu, we are getting some beautiful questions from our audience here. And Virendra ji has very nicely told us that English has 26 alphabets, Sanskrit has 52 alphabets with Barakhadi for each alphabet. That is double of English. So that is some food for thought here. And at this stage, Prabhu, what would you be comfortable with? Would you take the questions from the audience? या हम अपना सवाल जवाब का सिलसिला जारी रखें?
Okay. I think let's take questions from the audience at this point of time.
Okay. So one very interesting question, you spoke about Bhagavad Gita being a roadmap which has to be accessed quite early in life to get the maximum benefit out of it. So here there is a question from Richa Kamdar. She's asking, can Bhagavad Gita help us understand our purpose in life?
Okay. So the Bhagavad Gita is meant for everyone to understand their role and their purpose in life. So not only one individual, but everyone. That's the purpose of the Gita, to help us understand the purpose of this life that we have. So the verses in the Gita which speak about Sambandha Gyan, right? Sambandha Gyan, the entire Vedic literatures are divided into three parts: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan, right? Prayojan is the end purpose or objective of life, right? So when you say suppose someone is joining a company, right? So the Prayojan, what is the Prayojan? Is okay, Rokda, right? That is what drives them. That is for someone, that could be the purpose in terms of money. For someone, it could be utilizing their talent in the best possible way, right? So the entire Vedic literature is divided into three sections: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. So Bhagavad Gita helps us understand our Sambandha with this world, which is the role that we are supposed to play in this world. And also it helps us understand the Prayojan, the ultimate purpose, which is there for us to achieve. And there are so many verses in the Gita which helps us understand the ultimate purpose of life. Krishna says in the Gita, Bhaya sparsheshu asaktatma vindanti atmani yat sukham. So Krishna says that someone who becomes spiritually advanced, he becomes equanimous. He is not disturbed by any external temptations or any external frustrations that may come his way, because he is internally peaceful, because he or she has got internal bliss of spiritual knowledge. So yes, Gita is meant for us to access that spiritual bliss, that to attain the ultimate purpose of life, that is to attain the ultimate love of God and the happiness of loving God and serving God. So yes, Krishna says, Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru, that the ultimate purpose of this human form of life is to surrender ourselves in devotion to God, to become his perfect representative in this world. So yes, Gita is meant for us to understand our purpose in life on the transcendental plane and also in the practical level. On the practical level, Krishna says that all of us have, when we have come with we have two dharmas. One is as per our conditional nature and another is as per constitutional nature. As per our constitutional nature, our dharma is to love God, right? As per our conditional nature, our dharma is as per our varna and ashram, right? Chatur varne maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagasha. Krishna says, as per one's guna and karma, one, Krishna has created these different varna, these different occupations. So yes, Gita also indicates that we should align ourselves as per our nature, conditioned nature, whatever psychophysical nature that we have. It directs us to do that.
Okay. So Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. Sambandha identifies your role, your identity with this world. Abhideya is the process, and Prayojan that you beautifully described. How the Abhideya describes how to get there, and Prayojan is your end purpose. That is loving devotional service with the Lord. And that is ultimately our purpose that we ought to get aligned to. And the Bhagavad Gita describes how do you go about with that. Prabhu, you've impressed quite a few people here. आप एक के बाद एक श्लोक कोट किए जा रहे हैं, and there are questions here asking how do we memorize verses from the Gita, and आप कुछ इस पे tips बता सकते हो प्रभु? How do you memorize verses from the Bhagavad Gita and use it as eloquently, as efficiently as you are doing?
Okay. Memorizing verses from the Gita is actually it's very gratifying. आपको बहुत आनंद आएगा when you memorize the shlokas from the Gita, and it's very not only, as Krishna says in the Gita itself, susukham kartum avyayam. This path of bhakti, this path of spiritual enlightenment is not only gratifying in the end, but also the entire process is very gratifying. So now, how do you memorize the shlokas? It's a very simple process. Say, suppose we take up a verse from the Gita, as I quoted, evam parampara praptam evam rajarshayo vidu sakaline hamata yoga nashta parantapa. So it may be difficult for you to memorize all the 4 lines together. So therefore, first line, take up the first line and repeat it 3 times. Evam parampara praptam, evam parampara praptam, evam parampara praptam. Then go to the next line. Imam rajarshayo viduhu, imam rajarshayo viduhu, imam rajarshayo viduhu. Then take these 2 lines together. Evam parampara praptam, imam rajarshayo viduhu, evam parampara praptam, imam rajarshayo viduhu, evam parampara praptam, imam rajarshayo viduhu. So by the time you have done this repetition, it is gradually getting from your conscious memory to your subconscious memory. Like you are not even realizing, as you are just singing it, it's entering your subconscious mind. Right? And then take up the next 2. Sakale ne hamahata, sakale ne hamahata. So recite it 3 times. And then go to the last line, recite it 3 times, and then recite the last 2 lines together 3 times. Right? And then now you have the whole verse, the whole package, right, which you have kind of worked on. Now you are ready to recite the whole verse in one go. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu sakale neha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu sakale neha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu sakale neha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu sakale neha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. So you can even recite in different tunes. That's the beauty of it. There can be 7-8 tunes in which you could recite each verse of the Gita. So this is a general practice of how you can even very quickly memorize verses from the Gita. And the key is repetition. The more we repeat, the more it gets impregnated in our consciousness. And these are words of Krishna, right, which have come out from the lips of Krishna. So these are very transcendental, beautiful words. So it's very uplifting and spiritually energizing to repeat these words and have our consciousness, have our memory get impregnated with these beautiful words of Krishna. Because otherwise we have a lot of junk from social media, from news, etc., which is occupying our memory. So let our memory space be occupied by the verses of the Gita. So,
wow, the power of repetition, and put the verses up in. Of course, you described how beautiful it can be sung in different tunes. Prabhu, I don't want you to scold me after the session, so I don't want to elaborate this, but there have been many childhood memories, jahan ek brand, they use their whole advertisement campaign in the form of a song. So for example, आप अगर बोलो दूध की सफेदी निरमा से आई, पूरा गाना आ जाता है यहाँ पे. So you don't have to. So of course, as you described, there's a lot of junk anyway that we consume from the outside world in the form of song. So it's best to memorize these verses and uplift our consciousness spiritually. There are few other members from the audience. Bhavesh and Surya Daksh are raising their hands. Surya Daksh, can you mute yourself and
yes,
unmute yourself?
Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the wonderful class. I have a small question, Prabhuji. As you said initially, कि to Sanskrit का knowledge होना बहुत आवश्यक नहीं है. Yeah, it's not a prerequisite to understand Bhagavad Gita. And in that same length, you said that the prerequisite requirement is devotional service and being non-enviousness. जो Arjuna थे. Now the question is, normally then when we do the during the Gita marathon, we sell the Bhagavad Gita wholesale, left, right, and center. जो आते हैं देते जाते हैं. तो उनका क्या होगा? बिकॉज वो जो लेते हैं हमसे, वो तो कभी भगवत गीता के बारे में सुने भी नहीं थे. डिवोशनल और नॉन एनवियसनेस तो उनके लिए बहुत दूर की बात है. तो how will it really make a difference in their life when we sell it, this Bhagavad Gita to them?
Okay, so when we give out the Bhagavad Gita, we don't discriminate what is their state of consciousness, unka kya mindset hai. So yes, we do not discriminate. Whoever is willing, we offer them this gift of the Bhagavad Gita. So there's no harm in that, and in fact, that's what Krishna wants. He has given this life manual, this user manual for each and every one who is in a human body. So Krishna has given us the perfection of this human body is to understand the Gita. So Krishna wants this message to go out to everyone, and anyone who becomes an instrument to take this message to any potential candidate, he is very much appreciated by Krishna, and that's what Krishna says in the Gita, that mad bhakteshu abhidhasyati, that anyone who speaks about this knowledge or delivers this knowledge to others is very dear to me. So no doubt about that. Now the second point is we really don't know if the person is envious or not. So वो हमें चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है, because that is a password. But you can always give the user ID. लेकिन पासवर्ड जो है, जब तक वो पासवर्ड नहीं डालेंगे तब तक वो उनको फाइल एक्सेस नहीं होगा, right? And the thing is that you are giving them some devotional credit. You are offering them some spiritual credit. You are revealing like two alphabets of the password. If someone has accepted the Gita, मतलब उसका non-enviousness की तरफ journey शुरू हो गया, because he has appreciated and accepted Gita, all the message of Gita in to some degree. So yes, their journey has begun. उन्होंने पहला level of password डाल दिया है, right? As they gradually grow on this path, they will develop more and more non-enviousness. They will develop more and more devotion, and then they will be able to access Gita deeper and deeper, and that applies not only to them but also to us. ऐसा नहीं है कि just because we have formally taken up the garb of being a devotee, Gita reveals itself to us. No, the more we strive to become non-envious, the more we strive to become to develop devotion in our hearts, the more we can access the knowledge of Gita, the more it is revealed to us, and then we can revel in the deeper and deeper secrets of the Gita.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, what is the difference between Sanatan Dharma and Bhagavad Dharma? Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yadayadaya Dharma, so he comes every millennium to establish Dharma. So it is Sanatan Dharma or Bhagavad Dharma?
See, the Bhagavad Dharma is basically that which is propagated by Bhagavan, right? That which is propagated in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is about the soul's relationship with Bhagavan, the relationship of eternal love and service. So Sanatan Dharma basically is like Bhagavad Dharma is the ultimate crescendo, is the ultimate perfection of Sanatan Dharma, right? Sanatan Dharma is about the soul in its eternity, soul reaching its eternal identity, right? So yes, a soul could reach eternity in the form of Brahman realization. A soul could reach eternity in the form of being an eternal servitor of the Lord in Vaikuntha. A soul could reach his or her eternal identity in being in Goloka, serving Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. So Sanatan Dharma ka specialized form is Bhagavad Dharma, and in one sense, like they are leading it. Sanatan Dharma ultimately leads you to Bhagavad Dharma.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Bhavesh.
So Prabhuji, basically this isn't the question from my side. I would be asking this on the behalf of my on the behalf of my brother. So basically he studies at St. Xavier College in Mumbai.
Okay.
And he wants to start reading and understanding Gita. But the problem he faces is he don't find a good place to keep the Gita, or to store the Gita in the meantime. Since he live in the hostel, so it's like he already has a very occupied spaces, and he feel it would be wrong to disrespect the Gita's dignity. So what should he do? Like soon he'll be shifting to a flat, but till that time, what should he do?
Okay, so I guess we also discussed this in part in our discussion that मैं नया नहीं हूँ, so या मैंने ऐसा कुछ गलत काम किया है तो मैं गीता पढ़ सकता हूँ क्या? So we discussed the yes, we should be respectful to the Gita. We should give it the best respect and dignity that we can offer at our level. You can offer a golden throne to Gita if it is in your capability. You should offer the best to Gita, because when you know the value of Gita, you should offer the best. But the best way to respect Gita is not giving it a golden throne or decorating it with a garland या उसकी अगरबत्ती करना. Yes, we should respect it in these ways. But if you ask Bhagavad Gita, what is the best way of respecting Gita is to somehow or other read the Bhagavad Gita. So जैसा भी है, hostel room में भी है, कोई बात नहीं. Bhagavad Gita will be very happy to be in one corner, where in any rack where other books are kept of engineering or commerce. जो भी books है उनके साथ में भी Bhagavad Gita will be very happy to coexist, provided that you open up and read the Bhagavad Gita that will give it true happiness. That will be the best respect and dignity that we can offer to Gita. So tell your brother, don't wait for the right time to come. The right time is now. Don't wait for the right place for the Gita. The right place for the Gita is your heart. So if you have offered that right place to the Gita in your heart, then doesn't matter. In your room, in your home, whatever place you can offer, Bhagavad Gita will be very happy. But the ultimate place that you should offer to the Gita is your heart and your intelligence by reading the Gita. That's where it deserves to reside. So rather than having Google News and Instagram reside in our consciousness and in our intellect, let Bhagavad Gita reside, and that will offer true dignity and respect to Gita. And you can send your brother across. He's in St. Xavier's College in Mumbai. So हमारे neighbor हैं, भेजो भाई. We'll offer him place to read the Gita, and he can come to the temple also.
Wow. Thank you for that wonderful answer, Prabhu. Richa, you want to unmute yourself? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I had one question, as in, I'm really intrigued to know about Lord Krishna's life equation with Radhaji and Rukmaniji.
Okay. Why so?
Haven't we kind of come across a lot of blogs and articles with different theories around these two things, so sometimes it is really confusing for the youth that what exactly, kind of people sometimes glorify only one relationship and
Okay.
not the other one. So I just kind of, really want you to, maybe if you can put some light there and give us a clarity, like what is the truth or reality.
Okay, so yeah, like I would recommend that we keep our discussion, all the questions relevant to the theme of our session every time, if as far as possible, so that we are all glued to and really glued to clarifying that subject which we are discussing as much as possible. However, like I'll answer the question that you have, very pertinent question, which many times people feel that, oh, Sri Radha never married Krishna. So what kind of relation does Krishna have with Sri Radha? So it is an illicit relationship. So Krishna is a promiscuous person. So many times people come up with these kind of speculations and these kind of nasty thoughts, which is basically originating not from the Shastra, but from the impressions that they carry from Bollywood. They are trying to weigh Krishna from the weighing scale which Bollywood has given them, right? Which the media has given them. So if you really want to understand Krishna, you should not go to Bollywood or media. You have to come to the Bhagavatam, right? The scriptures tell about the identity of Krishna, about Radha. The Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Rasmat Ekatmanam Api Bhuvipura Deha Bhedam Gatauto. So it says that Ekatmanam Api Bhuvipura Deha Bhedam Gatauto. That these are one, these are not two. So Radha is Krishna's internal potency, and originally they are one person, they are not two. So Krishna is not so Krishna only expands as Radha and Krishna. And to understand Radha, we need to understand that she is the Ladini Shakti. She is the pleasure giving potency of Krishna. So if so Krishna is when Krishna is having Ras Leela with with the gopis and Sri Radha. So Krishna is actually the supreme Purusha. He's a Param Purusha. And all of us, if you understand the theology of Bhagavad Gita, we understand that we are all Prakriti. Krishna says in the Gita that you have Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Kham Mano Buddhi Revacha Ahankar IIT-ian me Bhinna Prakriti Ashrata. That all of these material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, these are the Bhinna Prakriti, these are the external energy. Then he says Aparayam Itastu Anyam Prakriti Vidhime Param. Jiva Bhut Mahabaho Yayedam Dharete Jagat. He says then above this external energy is the marginal energy, which is the spirit soul, all the living entities, which are all of us. We are all the spirit souls. And above the spirit souls, the marginal energy is the internal energy of Lord, the Ladini Shakti, the Chit Shakti, which is Sri Radha, right? Which is his spiritual world and all of his spiritual associates. So we really need to understand a lot of Sambandha Gyan, a lot of Tattva before we comment on Krishna's relationship with Sri Radha. So Krishna is a Param Purush and all of us are Prakriti. So we may be in the body of a Purush, but that body is just like a dress that we have worn, right? Our true identity is Prakriti. So when Krishna is dancing with the gopis, so he is not dancing with other men's wives. We in this world are dancing with Krishna's wives. So it is we who are to be blamed for our enjoying propensity of our enviousness of God. So yes, we need to understand the science of spirituality, and then when we understand that Sri Radha is Krishna's internal potency, and Sri Radha expands as all the queens of Dwarka. Basically, Sri Radha expands as Satyabhama, and expansion of Chandravali is Rukmini, right? So these are all subject matters which need a lot of unpacking to be able to understand in one go. So, but we can maybe dedicate some session later on for this stuff in future. That will be injustice to discuss all of that today.
Oh.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for that wonderful answer. And by what little ability I have, I'd like to summarize today's beautiful session that mainly described how to read the Gita. The password is devotion of the heart. That is the password that you described from the 4th chapter, and non-enviousness. Yeah. And the process, how this knowledge flows. And one of the biggest misconception is language is only the via medium and not a barrier for understanding the Gita. And Sanskrit is one of the most sophisticated language in the world, which is a via medium and not a barrier कि आपको संस्कृत सीखना ही पड़ेगा गीता जानने के लिए. नहीं, you don't have to. By the grace of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, Bhagavad Gita today is available in almost all the popular languages in the world, right from French to Spanish to Odia, Bengali, name the language and it's there. Even
Sindhi.
in Arabic.
Sindhi. Sindhi.
And even in Arabic, Urdu, you name it, and it's there. And it has to be approached with humility. The most important ingredient to approaching the Bhagavad Gita, to know it in its true sense, is approaching it with humility and not with pride. What the Bhagavad Gita has in it for us, Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan, which takes us to our ultimate, our end purpose, end goal. For all of us as living entities in this world, it describes us the purpose that we ought to attain or we ought to strive. And that is where the Bhagavad Gita is key. And very crisply put. Don't wait for the right time. The right time is now. Don't wait for the right place. The right place is in your heart. And as rightly our Guru Arti, the lyrics of our Guru Arti state, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. It starts from the heart. There is that is where the password is hidden. So, Prabhu, just correct me if I've paraphrased any of your words. I'm an expert at paraphrasing. And
Thank you for congratulating. but yeah, you do a great job. So thank you everyone for joining us, and hope to keep seeing all of you, because the enthusiasm for this session has to come from as much from me and Jayakishan, and as much from you, and even more from all of you. So if we receive all of your love and enthusiasm in terms of your joining these sessions, we'll be able to provide you deeper and deeper message of the Gita, unfold the deeper meanings of the Gita with all of your presence. So thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu, and a very big thank you to our audience, who've been very patient and enthusiastic with their questions. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much,
Rasikraman
Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Dandavat pranam.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you. And all of you can also use the chat in our InPlug website
Discussion forum.
for posting more of questions and discussions. Thank you.
Thank you.